Hi, gang sexy. All right, we are back on the East Front. We are at Ugra Station in Russia, 25 February 1942. The scenario, Haase to hold on. I actually got to bring some reinforcements on. I forgot to bring them on, but I'll take care of that. So this is one of those. I notice a lot of the scenarios like this are clearing out buildings or taking buildings, but so this one here, there's two objectives. I believe it's P5 and O7 are the objectives on this one here for the Russians. And the Russians have some partisans in here. Here's your partisans right here. Now the units don't look any different. And in this scenario here, they are considered to be, they're not subject to ELR and they're not considered inexperienced, even though their units are C, they're conscript units. So they're not inexperienced and they're not subject to ELR, but the Russians and the Germans are. And I've noticed standardly it's 3 with a lot of these. But anyhow, they need to drive in, clear out these 2 buildings to get a victory. So you had a case in this game here where the German can set up one stack, which could be a full squad, a special weapon, and a leader. And if you were playing 2-player, you could write down the location of where they are, kind of hidden, not so that the Russian player wouldn't know where they are. Well, that's kind of hard to do when you're solo. So what I originally did was I put 6 concealed markers down, and then when the Germans got into view of one of them, I sort of rolled the dice, and that's where I placed the unit. And it ended up being here. So that's where he appeared, which is good because he's in the building, connected to the victory location there. But this is pretty much an infantry and special weapons. They got an anti-aircraft gun here, and I'm just curious to see what kind of damage he can do. He actually had to get manhandled from here. He's gotten down to here. Like I said, I had reinforcements. I need to bring them on, get them on the map here pretty quick. But so far, the Germans have chased off one group. They're locked in a melee with this group here. These Russians are able to advance in there. The Germans weren't able to hold them back. But now they're starting to maneuver there. They've got 2 machine gun units up here. They're starting to move into a position where they can put fire on these houses. And then the partisans are going to come down through the woods. Don't want them coming out in the open against this AA gun. Like I'm afraid that thing's going to do too much damage. But the scenario is called Haase to hold on. And like I say, this is on the East Front. This is in Russia in 25 February 1942. We're 2 turns in. This is a 5.5 turner. So we're going to keep on playing, and I'll get back to you shortly. Let's wrap up. Haase to hold on. Scenario, the Ugra Station Starter Kit scenario S57 at Ugra Station in February 42. Wow. So I got down to the last, so it's 5.5 turns. Okay, and when I was done with turn 5, which in turn 5, the Russians had already taken this victory location here, and they had this big mass of 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they had 3 or 4 in this area right here. I said, okay, this guy had a demoralized unit or a broken unit underneath him. He originally had 2, but he recovered both of them. Okay, so and I had a stack in here. Yeah, okay. Before I get to that, because it's really funny how this ended. So on turn 5, I attempted to assault across best I could, and the Germans with a medium machine gun, two MMCs, and a crew from the old 820 AA gun that was out there, just threw them back. I'm like, okay. End of turn 5, Russians had some broken stuff, or the end of turn 5 for the Russian half of the phase. I said, okay, I can't. There's no way they're not going to pull this off. So, got through turn 5. The Germans that were remaining on the map all completely recovered. Mass stack or a mass amount in the or maximum amount of units without a leader in the last victory location, which is right here. You can see there's a Russian sitting in there, right? So it's a Russian victory because this hex and this hex were taken, or one of these 2. Okay, which I think maybe it's this one. These both were taken by the Russians, and that's the only victory conditions. Okay, I didn't think it was going to happen. On the last turn, on turn 5.5, for the Russians, this guy here was sitting in the woods, but he had a leader. So he was able to move 6 up the road into this house right here. All right. This guy was sitting here. He went 1, 2, 3, 4 to there, and he still had his leader. All right. The mortar team, he just came up. He was really not part of this. and there was this stack here was here. They assaulted across into the weeds here. So we had 3 Russian stacks closed in on this victory location right there. And as you can see, some broke, but the majority of them stayed in place because I couldn't, even with all I had, I couldn't get enough fire, couldn't get enough good die rolls. So we went into melee. This stack here with, which that didn't do nothing, with a partisan, an elite full squad, a 9-1 leader, and another elite full squad against 2 German multi-man counters, a crew, and a machine did nothing. So, obviously, the Russians were going to try to assault all of them. They had the leader, and they got ambush. I couldn't believe they got the ambush. So they got 2 off their die roll. Didn't matter, because at 1-to-1, they rolled a 5 anyhow. And you can't make this stuff up on the last turn. Last opportunity for them to win this game, they rolled a freaking 5 on a 1-to-1 in a close combat table and took it all out. So they probably captured a mini machine gun. The Germans still got their roll, but I figured I don't need to worry about this. We're just going to attack one unit, and I picked my combats beforehand, all right? They did eliminate one of the elite MMCs, but it didn't matter because the massive Russians rolled in there, took this thing, and Russians got a victory here on literally the last turn of the game, which was only a half turn, okay? Special rules in this game. The biggest one's probably the Partisans, the 426 units, which this guy here was, and he got reduced. So ELR doesn't apply to them, okay? The ground and the snow, you couldn't, your double times it doesn't move, road bonus are not applicable. So, yeah, I mean, it can't be anymore. It couldn't be any more fun to have a game end like that literally on your last dice roll. So we got a Russian victory, squad leader starter kit, advanced squad leader starter kit. This would be the guns box because it had the 20 millimeter anti-aircraft gun on there with the LL. So yeah, we'll see that's box 2. A Russian victory, fast playing, 5.5 turns, real fun. Pretty much just an infantry game except for that. And my AA gun got took out in the beginning anyhow. So a lot of weapons were laying around on the battlefield that got dropped by squads that were eliminated. I need to read because I can't remember if you're supposed to just take those off the map that they're eliminated too. A lot of broken weapons too. This stack here, he's got 2 machine guns with him. They were both broken for 2 turns, okay? And you see this one here is broken. There was one more too that was broken, but I think he ended up getting eliminated on a die roll, so they couldn't repair him in roll 6. Big fun, all right? Hexy is getting into this ASL starter kit stuff. Eventually wants to move up to playing. Eventually I'll move up to playing full ASL, but the objective is by September to be able to play Decision and Else with the whole, all the rules for starter kit. So, all right, wrap it up. Russian victory, and we'll see you all with the next one.